name is Whitney Thompson, and I am the head body piercer and studio manager for Tattoo Charlies here in Lexington, Kentucky. I've been working for Tattoo Charlies since 2000 and goodness, 12? No, 2010. About 15 years. Yeah, I've been piercing for 21 years, so I've been here for 15 of those years. Yeah. Sure. So Tattoo Charlie's has been around since the late 1980s. So this has allowed us to build a legacy reputation, right? So we are consistently tattooing and piercing children and grandchildren of customers that came to us decades ago. So having we also have a tattoo museum. We feel it's really important to recognize and celebrate the history of tattooing by showcasing vintage flash from, the World War II era and forward, as well as vintage tattoo machines and the evolution of them. We think it's really important to pay that homage to the tattooers that were here before us. Typically we stay busy, so we're not really paying too much attention to what people are really gravitated to. But I think that people are really interested in our displays that have all the really old tattoo machines and the evolution of them. They've gotten pretty more modern compared to what they were 4 decades ago. So it's really cool to have that up and displayed for people to go visit. There's also some really great photographs of folks, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s with full tattoo bodysuits. And that just wasn't as common, tattooing and having that many tattoos back in those days as it is now. So it's really cool to have those vintage photographs in history right there.
All right, time for a quick break for a little tattoo and culture history, and I thought this would be great to insert here. Many people are familiar with this guy in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, whether it be from the professional wrestling world or the entertainment world from film, TV, and all the fun stuff there. So obviously on his mother's side, he comes from a Samoan culture, which obviously honors the culture in telling stories with tattoos, as you can see right here. So going back a couple generations in his family, I thought this would be fun to insert here. His grandfather, being Dwayne Johnson's, was known to the public as High Chief Peter Maivia, and the High Chief had a traditional Samoan tattoo that covered his abdomen and legs, extending 360 degrees from his lower chest to his knees. These tattoos symbolized his status as a paramount high chief. These tattoos were done using traditional Samoan methods involving a mallet, bone, needle, and ink. These tattoos were a symbol of the status of being a high chief from Samoa. And the traditional Samoan tattooing process is lengthy and painful, typically taking months to complete. However, they were rushed, and things were considered to be life-threatening in terms of receiving these Samoan markings in such a fraction of a time. And the reason I say that is because he, being the high chief, received these tattoos in 3 days instead of the typical 6 months. This accelerated process was done to accommodate his wrestling career and busy schedule. However, it resulted in a severe infection. It was truly a testament to his toughness. because the process is usually up to 6 months putting these tattoos in. Now, back to the regular episode.
So how far out you have to schedule really depends on the artist or the piercer if you want a piercing, what their schedule, you know, if what your availability, what matches up with one another. Sometimes we have same week availability. Sometimes people have to book multiple months out in advance. So it's not always that we're just totally booked, but I think how far out you book is mostly contingent on availability of both the artist and the client, you know. But
Absolutely.
some of our artists are booked months out at a time, so it makes it a little harder to get in with them. So booking in advance is really the only guaranteed way to get in with a specific artist. We take walk-ins when we can. We're a really appointment-heavy studio. Appointments take priority, and we are a high-volume studio, so it's really hit or miss with walk-ins. You know, decade ago, it was mostly walk-ins, you know. Appointments weren't something that became really common, at least for our studio, until COVID happened. And then everything kind of became more of an appointment-based operating system. But we absolutely take in walk-ins when we can, tattoos and piercings alike.
Well, yeah, and I didn't even think about that to write that down, but with COVID and the shift that we had as a society
Mhm.
with all that, what is the biggest deal for you guys as far as safety concerns, whether it's piercing or
Well, things have dissipated, but when we reopened after a 3-month hiatus, it was incredibly strict. You know, we had distancing, social distancing. We required to take your temperature. We required you to wear a face mask. We did not allow people to come in with you to your appointments. We were appointment only. It was very strict. And a lot of those guidelines were also set forth by the Kentucky Department of Health in tandem with what we felt comfortable with as employees for our health and safety. You know, over the last 5 years, everything has gotten mostly back to normal. I think the only thing that's really stuck is we are more appointment based at this point. So typically our inquiries go through our front counter staff, whether it's phone call, email, Facebook message. We also have an inquiry form that people can fill out from our website directly. And that just gives us, there's some questions they fill out, and that gives us a better idea of what they're looking for so we can better match them to the appropriate artist. Availability can sometimes play a role in matching them with the appropriate artist so that they can get in a timely manner. But all of our artists offer something a little different. So it's important that the artist's work is available for clients to see. All of our tattoo artists have Instagram pages that essentially has their portfolios. We have some like in-house portfolios as well, but it seems like this world is a online world these days,
yeah.
right? So sometimes we'll give them the Instagrams of our artists and say, hey, you know, go check out their work, make sure that it is the style that you're looking for. And then they can message the artist directly to communicate directly with the artist to go back and forth about design, detail, placement, etc. Once the artist and the client actually get that locked in, then the client gets actually booked in with the counter staff. So we try to have as much direct contact or communication with the artists and the clients as possible. And yeah. As a body piercer?
yes.
I don't perform piercings that someone is not anatomically built for, of course, you know. I don't do piercings that are unsafe. Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean that it is safe, right? So there's a lot of those. There are some trends like Horizontal tongue piercings are a big trend. It's like a horizontal piercing through the tip of the tongue, which is very unsafe because your tongue is two separate muscles. So when you pierce a tongue horizontally versus vertically, you're binding those two muscles together, right? You can't see through the tongue horizontally. You could be puncturing blood vessels, you could nerve endings, you could cause permanent damage. And also, like the placement of the barbell means the beads are constantly resting on your teeth, which is inevitably going to cause long-term dental damage. And once you lose the enamel to a tooth, you lose the tooth. So just that's just one example of a lot of popular, unsafe piercings that have gained popularity on the internet.
You mean everything on the internet isn't the safest thing to do?
Wouldn't believe it either.
I know, right? Shocker.
So with body piercing, we are, I would argue, probably one of the highest volume piercing studios in the city. We staff 2 piercers every day. We're open 7 days a week. We have 2 separate piercing rooms. Some days we are completely booked out, both piercing schedules. Some days we have a lot of appointments, but we have little gaps, and usually phone calls and walk-ins fill those gaps. Right. So some days it's a little slower, some days it's cram packed. And even when we have a full busy schedule, we still try to accommodate at least walk-in jewelry purchases, or at least taking a moment aside to talk to a client, to give them some information, to give them your business card so they can contact you, they can look at your work. That's really important, even if you can't fit them in the same day. So one thing that sets our piercing side of the studio apart from a lot of other piercing studios is we are members of the Association of Professional Piercers. It is not a certification, it's just a membership that ensures that you are operating at higher standards, most often higher standards than what's even required by the Department of Health. So the quality of our piercers, their education, their experience, the quality of our jewelry, our knowledge, our setup is, I think, what sets us apart. As far as doing your research, I think there's not, a piercing school or a tattoo school you go to. So when you go to get body art, whether piercing or tattoo, it's important that you're going to someone who is properly trained and educated in bloodborne pathogens, aseptic setups. The studio is clean. The artist or piercer is professional, respectful, has good bedside manner, is willing to answer your questions, things like that. Portfolio work is absolutely important in the tattoo world. It's also important to see not only fresh pictures of tattoos, but healed pictures of tattoos as well. They can look very different a few weeks apart. Oh my gosh. As far as body art,
Anything, because sometimes they say it's an addiction at times. And I'm considering possibly doing something this weekend or in the
okay,
next couple of months.
cool.
They say it's an addiction. Once you get your first tattoo or your first piercing or what, it's like once you have that first taste of things, it's yeah.
Well, so for me, I've had 21 years to to get tattoos and piercings, and cover-ups. And you know, I am pretty satisfied in the body art that I have. I do have a few plans in the future for a back piece and some other things. But for the most part, I'm pretty satisfied. I think that just comes with being in the industry for so long. Sometimes when you work in the industry, you get your tattoos too fast.
Yeah.
And then you run out of space, right? So that's where I currently stand. We were the first studio established in the state. We have a history on our wall.
as you mentioned previously, yes, with the generational.
We have a legacy reputation. And I just think it's, even if you don't get any body art or piercings here, I think it'd be worth just stopping in and checking out the studio.
If people want to follow you, because you mentioned it a few minutes ago, social media wise, where can they check you out at?
So tattoocharlies.com. We do have a Lexington and a Louisville location. We also are on Facebook. We have separate Facebooks for our Lexington and Louisville location. We also have an Instagram, Tattoo Charlies.
Whitney, thank you so much.
My pleasure.